precious human, fellow Earth School student, thank you for being here. This is the EU Are Too Sensitive podcast with your host, Jade Beal. That's me. Being too sensitive. I named this You're Too Sensitive because that's something I've heard my whole life. Another thing I've heard my whole life is you're too much. And the thing is, I used to feel really attacked by that, which is part of what I want to talk about today, the shadow side of being too sensitive. I would feel so attacked before, when I used to let other people's opinions shape the idea of who I was. I would feel so attacked by, you're just too sensitive. Oh, you're too much. I heard that from so many partners and parents. And the thing is, they were right. They are right. I am too much. I am too sensitive. And the thing is, that's a beautiful thing. But luckily, I have lived long enough on Earth School to really work through this one. Also, you're too fat. That's another one I've heard my whole entire life since I can remember. All of those I would just allow to hit my precious little soul like a dagger, and it would influence my innate human part of this experience on Earth. It would influence that innate sense to belong. And every time someone would say that, I would allow it to shape that something was wrong with me, and I'd get further and further away, more and more disembodied, more and more afraid that there was something wrong with me. And I'm so grateful I've lived long enough to realize that people are going to say what they're going to say. And often the feedback that people have is correct, especially if someone's close to me. What I know too is that a lot of folks don't know how to share their opinions about me in a way that feels helpful. And used to, I have to say, because now people can say those things and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Also, I'm going to be honest, I don't really hang out with people who tell me those things. Because it's not, I guess that's not the vibration of communication that I desire. But the beauty is, now that when people do say those things, because they do still, I'm told I'm too much, I'm too emotional, I'm too fat, mostly by the internet, even though I am so much less on the internet and on social media than I used to be. And yeah, I like to be around people who see the best in me. I do desire critical feedback. I do want to continue to improve. And there's a few people I allow in my life that, yes, please give me critical feedback. I think that's important. I think it's really, really important. But if there's folks that only offer critical feedback, I don't know about that. It has to be a mix of gratitude and feedback, in my opinion. And I feel like that's one of the shadow sides of being too sensitive too, is that I could really lean into our innate negativity bias. Actually, I feel like that's maybe one I really have to hold close as a practice, is to remember that as a too sensitive person, my innate wiring for negativity bias for survival is even more amplified than probably the more neurotypical types. So I get to remember that. I'm not victim to it. I get to remember it. I do tend to look for what's wrong. So I get to practice with intention and dedication what is right. What am I grateful for? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the shadow sides of being, for me anyway, that maybe you could relate to or see in yourself, with the intention of getting curious. That's the only intention. This is not a beat up and what's wrong with me. It is a continuation of expansion into allowing who we are. And for me, shadow work has been the way I've expanded and accepted myself the most. I used to be kind of a toxic positivity. I would say the positive things, but I didn't really believe it. I would say, I feel beautiful all the time. And that was a lie. I didn't. And that really started to eat at my soul. Like, I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that I liked how I looked in the mirror all the time. But the truth was I didn't. So what's wrong with me? Why can't I see that I'm beautiful all the time in the mirror? And it wasn't until I do shadow work where I was like, because I don't have to look in the mirror and think I look beautiful all the time. Actually, this is a little more nuanced than just having to be one way. Now, let me be very clear. I desire to be in the positive and joy as much as I can because, like I just said, I'm already wired as a human, and as being too sensitive, I feel like I'm even more it's easier for me to focus on my negativity bias as a human. It's easy for me to allow my depression to completely overtake me if I do not tend to it. And so that's what I desire to share here today is maybe you don't identify someone who's too sensitive, but I feel like there's still nuggets of curiosity that we all can share in these topics. And mostly for me is recognizing these things with love, and then what can I do to tend to those parts? And that's what we're gonna dive in today with. Thank you for being here. I want to start off though by reading this poem. I just got this. It's called Journal of the Soul. Journal of the Soul. It's a book of poetry by Sophia Katsaiti. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. Katsaiti or Katsaiti. I fell in love with her poetry on Instagram, and so I pre-ordered her first book of poetry, and it's just gorgeous. And the poem that I picked out for us today is called Burnout. Because that's another shadow part of being too sensitive. I am so prone to burnout. And I feel like I am been in recovery from burnout for quite a while. I think I'm better than ever, but I still am surfing burnout. And, honestly, I don't even really like to use that word. I feel like that's very clinical. And, again, it can be read as what's wrong with me? Why are you burnt out? And to me, it's more of my soul speaking, which is why I love this poem. So I'm going to have to turn on the flashlight on my phone because it's very dark. It's Sunday morning at 6:30 right now, and it's still pretty dark in my house. So I'm turning on my phone to read this poem to you. Burnout. What if exhaustion is not a weakness to be cured, but the body drawing a boundary? Depletion is often how wisdom speaks when we refuse to hear ourselves. Perhaps it's not burnout at all, but a covenant breaking. Perhaps it is the body and spirit resting in the inorganic pace of profit and the cult of endless striving. After all, we are not made to war against ourselves daily or wear resilience as disguise. What is born of harmony cannot thrive in distortion. What belongs to eternity cannot be sustained by deadlines. And perhaps this is what terrifies our trance, that if we grow still enough to listen, we will remember. We will remember that aliveness is not a distant horizon to reach, but the ground beneath our feet. Beneath the armor of politeness and the breath of comfort or compliance, the world has long told us that striving is salvation and productivity is prayer. But before all of that, we were here already breathing and worthy before any proof. The roles were never our essence, and the armor was never our skin. The highest path may not be a journey outward at all, but the subtle and ordinary miracle of unbecoming what we never were. So do not curse your weariness, my dear. Your body has not abandoned you. It is leading you back to the place that was true before you were told who to become. This woman, she has such a cool story. She is multicultural from East Africa, Sri Lanka, and I think Greece are her parents' origins. And I think she grew up in East Africa, and she's kind of a nomad. And I just vicariously live through her precious, beautiful life and her poetry. If you don't follow her on Instagram, I highly recommend it. All right. At the end of this episode today, I am going to invite you into a 5-minute breathwork session. So I hope you stick around and do it with me, because even if you're not too sensitive like me, we all need more breathwork in our lives, my loves. We all need more breath. I was talking to a friend, and I know you're listening right now, my precious friend. And he was telling me that him and his partner just started doing breath work and how transformative it has become for them. And I just was so giddy, because I was like, because I feel a little bit like a breathwork evangelist. Less so now, because I feel like no one really listens to me. People are like, okay, whatever. But I just, why not? I know I had resistance to breathwork for so long, and meditation. I still do. I still have to get to work through my resistance. I don't want to meditate. Why? Why the heck not? What? I'd rather go clean my bathroom and meditate. I'd rather dwell on all the problems of the world than meditate. No, my loves, no. And I've taught what I call ceremonies on Zoom for the last 3 years, and I've stopped at this point. I don't know if I'm going to resume. But in those ceremonies, I would lead us through breath work every single week, and I would just beg folks. You don't have to do my style, or there's 2 styles that I really love. You don't have to do my style, but can we get curious, and can we commit to just 5 minutes a day? I know the wellness industry wants us to do all these things every single day, and before you know it, self-care is a full-time job, and we got to meet our bills. But honestly, and this is what I was saying in my classes, 5 minutes of breath work, giving the repressed emotions, giving the stuck energy of being a modern day human, and unconsciously most of us are living in a chronic state of fight or flight, especially if you're too sensitive like me. And so we must practice a way to help our precious bodies move that through our bodies. And only a few people would listen. Only a few people would, or not listen. I mean, everyone would listen. Everyone would say yes, yes, yes. But only a few people would diligently practice. And that's okay. Again, I'm not saying that as a judgment. I am not saying that as a judgment. I just would feel a little heartbroken that we have so much resistance to do the practices that can truly, truly aid us, especially as more neurodivergent, sensitive, precious earthlings. And this is what I want to say. It's not about whether my precious students did it or didn't do it. It has nothing to do with that. It was that I felt like a failure, that I was not able to figure out how to guide them better, or maybe my ego really wanted to convince them, and it didn't seem like it was working. I felt like I had failed. And that's honestly one of the main reasons I stopped doing those groups, because I was like, this isn't working. For some reason, I'm unable to guide these beauties into practices that I know will help them because they've helped me. That's why I've gotten off my antidepressants and my blood pressure medications, and I'm 200 and whatever pounds, but I am a healthy girl because I am dedicated to moving the chronic states of fight or flight as a sensitive person in a very intense world out of my body daily. And if I do not tend to it daily, I will notice. My body will speak. It'll speak either right now my chronic pain comes in the form of urgent bladder. That one has been forever. And through breath work, I've been able to cure it like 90%. Breathwork, meditation, and journaling the hard emotions. Also headaches, lower back pain, hip pain, plantar fasciitis, exhaustion is the big one. That's like the Goliath, I feel like, in my life. But I know it's repressed emotions. I know it's fear of the future. Fear of making my bills, fear that I've had for more than half of my life, that I'm going to be out on the streets, that I'm going to have no home. I still am overcoming that narrative because I've always lived paycheck to paycheck. I've always lived month to month, which is something I still haven't. I learned slowly, I learned real slow. So I still haven't figured out how not to live month to month. But I'm getting there. I'm getting closer than ever. But that has a toll. That has a toll on my body. No, I'm not a victim. But, it's an opportunity. Like, okay, how can I continue to figure out a way so I'm not in chronic fight or flight, freeze, fawn? So, all that to say, I love when folks start discovering, and again, breath work is not going to fix the conundrum of being human. There is no pill, there is no breath work that is going to make everything better. I'm sorry, my loves, I'm sorry. Suffering is a part of this human school. And just like with the pain that I just mentioned, that I just listed, I don't expect to be pain-free. I don't expect life to be perfect. I know life is super nuanced. It is dark, it is light, and it is everything in between. I don't like it. I do breath work and journaling about how I don't like that. Why can't I just be happy all the time? And I think there are people that are able to be in that state. I'm not one of them. But doing my shadow work, owning the parts that I've avoided for so long, has allowed me to be more accepting of the fact that for me, there is a lot of suffering. But I'm not going to wallow in my suffering. I'm not going to feel like a victim to my suffering. I'm going to use it. How can I continue to transform the suffering into beauty over and over again? Oh my gosh, really? Again, I'll say sometimes. Again, I have to transform this suffering into beauty or art or wisdom. No. I don't want to. And so then I don't. I pause. I'll binge a reality TV show or I'll eat too much. And that pain, that suffering will be waiting, because binging the reality TV show or eating too much is not going to tend to the fact that the suffering is asking for help to move out of my body. Does that make sense to y'all? I love talking about this, and I realize that I still get to continue to learn how to speak to these things. Words are so strange to me. I would like you just to put your hand on my heart and feel how it feels, but that's not going to happen. So I wrote down 5 main things about my shadow as a too sensitive human. So the first one is my default is to be the victim. 2, default to feeling like everything is my fault. Ooh, I'm still working on this one. 3, terrified when people don't like me. I've talked about this before. Terrified, so scared. And I have a default. If I perceive like someone give me a look, or even if it's a stranger or someone I know, I can go quick into a state of fight or flight, mostly flight or fawn or freeze, when I think, usually incorrectly, and even if it is correct, it's okay. People are allowed to dislike me. I have finally learned. 4, the uses of substances or intimate relationships to cover hard feelings. Yeah, like I just said. And 5, I cannot helping my body move somatically, or this is how I want to say it. I cannot, my depression will be all consuming, and therefore I cannot avoid my somatic practices to move repressed emotions, repressed fight, flight, or freeze, chronic states of fight, flight, or flee, chronic states of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Not having my somatic practices is a non-negotiable, basically. I must have my somatic practices. It is a non-negotiable. And my somatic, like I just said, my somatic practices are breath work, are journaling, and meditation, with the intention of helping my body, because she is a living, breathing, super intelligent. We think everything's in the brain. No, it's not, my loves. It is everywhere. I'll tell you what, after getting these hernia repair, and I feel like my intestines are finally all where they should be, because a big chunk of them were pushing through the hernia before and kind of strangulating them. And so my digestion has been weird for years. And to feel that relaxing and coming back to what it feels like a definite more homeostasis, I do feel my brain fog lifting so much. In other words, our bodies are wise and wisdom and clarity and life force lives in the whole body. And chronic repression, chronic stress, chronic fight or flight or freeze also lives in the body. And because we just keep going and wonder why we feel so burnt out, we don't pause to remember the wisdom of the body and help her feel safe and regulated. Help her know that yes, life is intense and there's nothing wrong. There's no predator. Everything's okay. Yes. It's hard for me to go into Costco. It's very overwhelming, and Costco's not a predator. So, before I dive into each one of those bullet points, I want to ask you something. If you are a too sensitive person like me, or even if you're not, what is your resistance to having a daily somatic practice? And I want you to ask this with a hand on your heart and feet to the earth. This is not a judgment. I don't want you to feel like there's one more thing to your list. And why is it so hard to carve out 5 minutes to tend to your precious body? And the only way that we can answer this without berating ourselves is with shadow work. It's okay that we resist. I'm okay. I know I'm going to resist sometimes. Sometimes it's just not the day for me to do breath work, but I can expect to feel probably worse. That's the price I get to pay. But I don't feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing X, Y, and Z? No, it's like, oh, today's not the day. But can you challenge yourself? Can you start with 1 week? 1 week. Every day, 5 minutes of breath work. Can you extend that to 1 month and evaluate and be curious? I feel like it's so normal to blame pain and basically everything on our body. Because, why? Well, capitalism has a fix to sell us. Of course it's going to tell us over and over every day, since we could understand language, that there's something wrong with our body. Because then they can sell us a fix. It's brilliant marketing for them. It's a prison. It can, in my opinion, become a prison for us. Especially if you're like me and you're on too sensitive. So, to start, the shadow as a too sensitive human. My default is to be the victim. This is one that I feel has been just, I just freaking love it. I freaking love it because I lived most of my life really justified that I am the victim. And what could say I am? I was sexually abused for years. I grew up in severe poverty, especially with my dad. There's several ways I could be the victim. I've never known what it's like to not worry about money. Meh, meh, meh. And I feel like as I did this healing and as I dig into my shadow, and let me be honest, I still fall into being the victim. I just did this last week. I just did. I fell into being the victim last week in regards to my relationship with my husband, because as I've said before, one of his three specifically, but I often feel like it's all three, but definitely one of the three, and his ex-wife, they just behave like I don't exist, which is their right. And as you know, part of my healing is learning how to feel safe when people don't like me. And those two have been my greatest teachers. And obviously, I've not mastered it. Because this last week, my husband, they now live in a different state. And my husband flew to go be with them. And oh my gosh, I became the victim again. I became the victim. How can this person that I love go and spend time with people who pretend like I don't exist? Oof. Ooh, I was the juicy, juicy victim. Poor me. I am a victim. Poor me. I can laugh now, but it was not funny for like 4 days. It was not funny. I was down. I was like, geez, Louise. And again, this is part of the shadow work. I'm like, why? Why is this? I've done so much work around this. WTF. Why? Okay. And so I got again to not berate myself. I'm not berating myself with the why again. No, it's just like, oh, bummerito. Still got more work to do. Okay. Don't love it. Wish it was done. But here we go. This is my earth school. And the thing is that I often get confused. I'm like, well, do I need to let this relationship go? Because this pattern, having a partner who spends time with folks that pretend like I don't exist or behave as if I don't exist and want nothing to do with me, is that good for me? I don't know. But I really love the relationship that I have with my husband. So, I don't really have an answer to it. I'm not sure. Is it just more opportunity for more spiritual growth and to be freer and freer from my default of wanting to be the victim as a too sensitive person? Probably. Because what do I know for sure? People are allowed to not like me. Also, I know my husband's allowed to love who he wants to love, especially his children, and have gratitude for his ex-wife because she's an incredible mom to their children. I mean, if I'm honest. She's an incredible mom, and also I deeply, deeply disagree with how she parents, because part of her parenting is to turn her kids against me. And I don't anymore, but I used to show up for them. I used to house them and take them to go do fun things all the time, and never made them have any chores when they lived with me. Like, I wanted them to have fun and, help them get into schools and all kinds of stuff. And her goal was to turn them against me. And so that's fine. That's her right. But I deeply disagree with that kind of parenting, because my son my co-parent has a partner who my son is influenced by, and it doesn't matter if I like her or not. That's not part of the equation. I teach my son to be grateful for her and to speak the gratitude. She is someone who cares for him. Someone else in this world who cares for my son is a treasure to be protected, regardless if I want to hang out with that person or not. That don't matter. What matters is there is another kind adult in my child's life, and I, one, am so grateful for that, and two, want to teach my son to also recognize the beauty and gratitude and true privilege. There's so many children that don't have adults that could care less what's happening to them or to get them Christmas presents. So that's how my parenting deeply diverts. But that's okay. What I choose to sit in as I do my own healing around feeling like a victim to them is she is a beautiful mother and a beautiful fellow earth schooling. She's not an other. She is us. I am us. We are all the same. I'm not gonna make her the bad guy. I mean, I do, but then I have to pause and do my breath work. And thank you for being, as Ram Dass says, thank you for being God dressed in drag. I love that quote. Everyone who, quote unquote, is doing us wrong, everyone that we are victim to is God dressed in drag. And, I can't speak, I don't feel like I'm well versed enough to speak to people's deep trauma. I'm not qualified for that, but I can speak to my own trauma. And not being a victim, even to my sexual abuser, feels powerful. I freaking love it. Feeling not a victim to this person who wants nothing to do with me, even though I've given so much to those children, feels powerful. Do I slip into the victimhood again? I do. Hand to heart, feet to earth. Let's go do some breath work. I might need to do some sacred rage. I do not want to spew my anger about falling into victimhood and feeling how unfair it feels. I don't like not being liked. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for Earth School where people don't like me. What? What is this? Well, it's part of my school. Oh, we didn't choose these things. This is what we get to do. Or maybe we did choose them. I don't know. I guess some spiritual people would say we did choose them. Maybe we did. What I know for sure is I don't like it. I don't like it. And so I get to tend to it over and over. So that's one of the shadow work. That is, I feel like, a really good example of why shadow work has been the biggest doorway for me with self-love. Because when I feel like I'm like, yes, okay, I feel at peace about the situation with the ex-wife and the child. I feel at peace. Yay, I've arrived. And then all of a sudden there I am again feeling like the victim. Old me, like 5 years ago, would have been like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you back here? Oh, you piece of crap. Because my inner critic, she's a loud protector. She is a loud protector. And so in those moments where I feel like I've quote unquote I'm back to square one. Well, we're not back to square one. There's no way. We cannot go back in time. We are different humans who are still working through the same energy. There's still more healing to do. Now, and I feel like we need to bring our shadow work there too, because it's like, oh my God, are we always going to have to heal? It's not to be heavy. It's Earth School. Yeah, we're going to continue to learn. Until our last exhale, we continue to learn, experience, integrate. Learn, experience, integrate. I'm with you. I don't like it all the time. Oh, that's my dog. I feel like he always does that when I'm recording. Okay, so 2, the default to feel like everything's my fault. Well, I feel like that can kind of encompass what I just said. The default to feel like everything's my fault, I must be constantly aware of, because it is always there. And maybe it's part of my inner critic, but I know for sure it just wants to keep me safe. It just wants to keep me safe. But the thing is, I am safe. And it's okay if people don't like me. It's okay. And I feel like lately, because on social media, people really formed a lot of opinions about me. And some of those people I see around town. And so if I see that person like at Costco or somewhere, I get so afraid. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I know that person doesn't like me. And, I've never done anything to this person. They've just decided they don't like me because, I posted something that they didn't like, or I advertised that I was doing massage before I was licensed. And oh my gosh, there was like this huge thing. When I started doing massage, I still was trying to get my license, and people were coming after me. You can't offer to do massage before you're licensed. I first started doing massage in 2001. And I took a break from most of it. I still engaged a little bit, but I was getting my license and it was taking me time because doing administrative work for me is hard. It's just like, it's like sometimes reading hieroglyphics for me, trying to do applications and such. And so it took me like 4 months, 5 months, maybe 6 months to finally get licensed again. And people got so angry at me. And that was a huge fear of mine. I lost a lot of hair. I got afraid of people. I thought they were going to come after me, burn my house down. Like, people were being so mean. Telling me and putting my place. I stopped saying that I was a massage therapist at that time. And that also gave me a distaste of wanting to call myself a massage therapist. Because I'm like, if this is how massage therapists are, like wanting to shame me into not complying the way that I should, I don't want to be one of them. Because most of the healers I see don't have no license. No, I love, for me, having a license feels great. I went to the schooling. I feel like I deserve that license. I've been practicing. I've never had any complaints filed against me ever in my whole life with body work. And so, like, I honor that is important for some people. It's not necessarily important to me, but I'm going to do it because I want to be able to get to practice anywhere in Arizona. So, I was really afraid. I actually never have spoken this out loud. And I've taken it to my journal and breath work. But yeah, it was so stressful. That was a year ago. Right now. And I was so afraid of people. I was afraid of seeing them. I was afraid they were going to like come find where I lived and key my car. Like, oh my gosh. And then I get into the victim of like, why me? I don't understand. Because these people, they don't actually know me in real life. They don't. We're just Facebook friends, or yeah, mostly Facebook. And which is why I've basically deleted my Facebook profile after all of this. They don't know me. They've never received massage from me. They don't know that I have been practicing way before they have. Most of these people anyway, and I did figure that out. But none of that really matters. That's victim Jade speaking when I just said that. What I don't understand is someone I don't know and has never done anything wrong to me, or wrong, but anything that's hurtful. It's not wrong, but no one's never personally like come to me and like the only person I have in my life right now, for that example, is my husband's ex-wife. Like, after giving so much to those children and I felt like just being so dismissed and so like turning the kids against me, having them block me so I couldn't call them or text them, just really weird shenanigans, but whatever, it's her right. I don't understand these folks that don't know me, that are so set on really disliking me and vocalizing it very passionately. And I was really scared. I was really, really scared. I've never experienced such hatred. I used to, I think like in Trump's last presidency, I had a deep hatred for someone I didn't know. I still have it, but I refuse to live in a place of hatred anymore. That takes a toll on my body, and Trump is not worth it. I am not willing to hate him so much that it causes illness in my body. Nope. I don't like him still, but that's okay. He exists. It's out of my control. But what is in my control is Oh, this precious body. Okay. My peace. Protecting my peace at all costs. So, yeah, when these folks were out to get me because of the massage license thing, wow, I was so scared. I was so scared. Because I would, this is even beyond just, I think, my default to feel like everything's my fault. This is, I felt like they were physically going to hurt me for some reason. I did. Every time I heard a noise outside or I was, so, but now I'm okay. Nothing's happened. People are allowed to not like me. And when I feel like, oh, is that my fault? I must pause, hand to heart. Even if it is my fault, I'm still a good person. Even if it is my fault and I've messed up, I'm allowed to mess up. I'm allowed to repair. I'm allowed to look at my mistakes, even if it's hard for a few days. That's the shadow work. It's okay to do stupid ass things, as long as we are brave enough to face the shadow and be like, oh man, I really messed up. I said things that I should not have said. I am so sorry. When it is indeed our fault, it is medicine. It is beauty. I feel like the universe expands every time we are kind to ourselves. We realize, oh crap, actually, that was my fault. But the thing is, if you're like me, if you're too sensitive, we can get into a chronic state of is that my fault? Is that my fault? I mean, I remember when I was younger, in my early 30s, clients would be talking about a problem that they had, my massage clients. And I had a part of me that'd be like, oh my God, is that my fault? And it had nothing to do, no, of course not. I don't know these people besides as my client. Of course it's not my fault. But I had such an intense default to think it was my fault. And to me, that is the body asking for healing, asking to tend to that. It's not bad. Okay, this is probably from childhood, might be ancestral. Let's reparent this. Let's reparent the feeling like everything is my fault. And part of that reparenting is, baby girl, sometimes things are your fault. And that's okay. Well, we know how to deal with those. When those things occur, we will tend to them. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to not realize we were hurting people's feelings. Or if we did realize, even if we did realize we're hurting people's feelings, we're allowed to be so brave to admit to our mistakes and to apologize, to hold ourselves accountable with a hand to our heart and kindness in our soul, not berating ourselves. Okay. So the third, terrified when people don't like me. Yes, we've been over that one. And 4, using substances to cover hard feelings. Using substances and intimate relationships, which, as I've talked about before, my addiction to codependent relationships. I'm really into this one because it took me a while to realize that I do use food and I am a codependent. I feel like I was really resistant to looking into that shadow, because who wants to be a freaking food addict or a codependent? Nobody. Also, that's not who I am. That is a part of my human earth school. That is part of this journey. It is okay. I have gotten into relationships most of my life because I was terrified of being alone. As I've talked about before, I started my relationship with my husband from both of us did. Both of us. I'm not going to speak for him. I cannot. But I'm going to speak for, that's my opinion is he also, and I think he would admit it as well, but I can't speak for him. I can speak for myself. Entered this last relationship complete, just guns firing codependent. Because I saw how him and his ex-wife were in the first month. And I said to myself, girl, they got a lot of mess that you're not going to know. I could tell she didn't want anything to do with me right off the bat. I didn't know at the time that part of my deep shadow was I'm so afraid of people not liking me. I didn't know that at the time. She's been my greatest teacher in that. But what I did know, and I had a very clear but understanding of this isn't good for me. The weirdness between these two humans, they were very recently divorced. They have 3 kids. I could tell that this woman had a lot of pain that she turned into, well, my words are a weapon. And I've done the way I can recognize it is because I've done it. I weaponize my pain as well to hurt others until I started doing shadow work, and sometimes I still do it. And then quick to freaking own it, apologize, and do better. Do better. Once we know better, we do better. So I recognize from the get-go very clearly, no, girl, this is not good for you. And that's what I want to really highlight here, is I knew that. And I know, and like, if current present day me were to just start out that relationship and see that, I love myself so much and I want to protect my peace at all costs, that I would have just been like, oh, I really like hanging out with you, Phil. But no, we're not going to do this. You got stuff with this woman that is yours, and I do not want to partake in this. Or this is just not a nurturing environment for my particular person. And I honor y'all's journey. So I had the wisdom. I knew, this is messy. And my codependent addictive self, though, was still so like my previous relationship that I had just exited only a few months before that. That was so hard for me and really just questioned my worthiness on all levels, which again was part of my Earth school. I'm not a victim to that, but I was in no way at peace with myself or like in alignment and embodied. No. So I overrode. I absolutely knew this was not a good place for me, for nurturing for me. These are good people who are doing their work, and this is not a nurturing environment for me. But my codependent addictive self, it said, that's okay. And I jumped into the shit show. And I call it a shit show. And I don't even have to blame anyone else. Only me. Is a shit show because I recognize this is not a nurturing place for me, and I freaking jumped in anyway. Now, I could now in retrospect be like, well, I have learned a lot more than I think. I don't know if I would have been able to really get to the root of my fear of people not liking me, or doing the magnificent self-love healing I have done and shadow work I have done since then. I don't know. Maybe I would have, but I certainly had the motivation to do all of that by jumping into this relationship that I knew was going to be really intense for me. So that's what I mean about my codependent addictive self overrode my very precious wisdom. Now, that's where I could, again, like I just said, as I go to bed, I don't know. That's why also my codependent self is not a monster. It's not a problem, because this is how I think I see it. I think my codependent self took me on a more painful journey through this. I think my wise self would have probably done a little more gently. I probably would have gotten there, but instead of taking the nice fields on my path to get to the healing that I inevitably would have to get to, I did the Mount Everest. I'm like, let's go. Totally unprepared. Knew I did not have the resources or the bandwidth No, my codependent self was like, buckle up, babes. We're going straight in. Where my wise self, I think, would have led me a little more gently. That's what I want to say. So, and also I feel like it's important for me to own my own shadow in this, because the ex-wife is justified. She has her justifications of why she is the way she is with me, right? She wanted nothing to do with me since the get-go. She made that clear. I pushed a relationship. So, yeah. Your girl here, she initiated this shit show. So She wanted nothing to do with me. But after Moon, no barking. After her kids and Phil's kids were living with me for a while and I didn't have her phone number, I was like, I want her phone number. And so it started like that. She wanted nothing to do with me. I pushed her to interact with me. So I'm already pushing her into something she didn't want. What could we call that? Bullying. Yeah, she feels like I bully her. And when I wasn't, so she wanted nothing to do with me. I pushed her into communicating with me. I would take gorgeous, and I tried to win her over because that's what I do. I tried to win her over. I'd take gorgeous photos of the children, and I'd send them to her on text, and I'd try to win her over. She didn't care. She never said thank you. She was like, never said these are great photos. Nothing. Silence. Nothing. And so what do? Victim. I've never, ever taken photos of people's children and they not thank me. That's what I said then. That's what I said. Victim. But what did I do? I pushed something that did not want to engage with me. And then I became the victim. You see how that is? So that's why I got to get into my shadow. Oh, okay, wait, I didn't finish. Okay, so then I did that. And then I started sharing how her behavior was making me feel. And that really went badly. That was when she had the kids block me on their phones and told the kids that I was a bully and, just really but again, can I blame her? No, I absolutely cannot. Is she justified in what she's done? She is. Is that the way I would do things? No, it's not. But she's completely justified. And within that, I had to reflect on myself. Why am I pushing someone who wants nothing to do with me to engage with me? My work. Why am I sharing with someone who already has made it clear she wants nothing to do with me? Why am I sharing with this person how her behavior makes me feel? She don't give a fuck. She doesn't want to know. I'm crossing boundary after boundary after boundary. And yet at the time, I felt like the victim. There you have it, folks. And now I can see it. And now I can be like, oh, baby girl, of course you wanted this person to like you. And no, that was not the way to do it. That was not the way to do it. Again, I overrode my wisdom of this isn't the place for me. This is not a nourishing place for me. With what these folks got going on, and the way that they have a relationship that's very close. Very, very close. And this isn't the relationship for me, but I overrode it. My codependent self took charge and we went on the steep road rather than the mellow, gentle fields. Okay. So I think, that's all of them. So, oh no, there's one more. The fifth is that practicing somatic breathwork, journaling, meditation, sacred rage is not an option. Someone who is prone to depression, prone to victimhood, prone to feeling like everything's our fault, breathwork, meditation, sacred rage, journaling, moving my body is not an option. Unless I want to be on medication, unless I want to do, the things that, just pop a pill, which again, I don't say that with judgment. That is reasonable to be able to function in this go productivity, just be successful model. There's no shame in that. That's not what I desire to do. I said I want to get curious. Why is my depression so dominant? Why do I feel like a victim all the time? Why do I feel like everything's my fault? Why do I somaticize so much of my pain into headaches, back pain, irritable bowels, overactive bladder, headaches? Why? Because I need to do the thing that takes time. the thing that I've been resisting, helping this precious body feel safe, feel peaceful. But I have to, it takes actual practice. It takes actual tending to. And if I want to be depressed and unable to free myself from the victim narrative and unwell, then yeah, that it can be an option. But if I want to feel, and the thing is, I don't feel quote unquote great, perfect all the time. I don't. Most of the time I don't. But if I don't do these practices, I can't even I can't even get out of bed. I can't even get out of bed. So I'm not doing these practices with this is I think what I'm trying to say. I'm not doing these practices with the expectation to feel wonderful. I'm doing these practices so I can get out of bed. And yes, with these practices, I do have days where I feel wonderful. But more than anything, I feel I don't feel wonderful and I don't feel like super depressed. I feel more even keel. And honestly, sometimes that even keel can feel like, what's the point? Because I used to be more manic. I used to be more like, wonderful, so sad, wonderful, so sad. And now I'm kind of more like, kind of middle ground, kind of peaceful. And that can feel kind of boring. And I feel like that's where a lot of people too will stop doing the breath work and stop doing the somatic practices to move emotion that are like, there's a buildup in our bodies, whether we are aware of it or not. Just driving down the road, there's going to be things that need to be repressed in the body. Just being alive, there's stuff. And again, some of us more than others, especially someone like me who's deeply feeling. I repress a lot just to get through the day. So, all that to say, I think there was a time where I'm like, what's the point? I don't feel great. So if we can manage our expectations around needing to feel great, but instead tending to ourselves so we can have a more even, which might feel kind of low for those of us who are used to being kind of manic, that's okay. That's part of the air school too. And then slowly but surely, at least for me, I learn how that evenness is like, this is so peaceful. It's so peaceful. No, it's not that manic joy, but it's not I can barely focus my eyes. I'm so heavy with depression. So, yeah, somatic practices are a non-negotiable. And if you're sensitive like me, and you feel things very deeply, and you do not have a regular somatic practice, can you ask yourself with kindness and love, tell me more. This is how I desire to say it. Ask your resistance what they're doing. What is your resistance desire? Don't shame the resistance. Ask the resistance questions. Why? Why is there so much resistance? Because there's medicine in understanding the resistance. There's healing in understanding our resistance. It's not being mad, like, this crappy ass resistance. No. The resistance is trying to protect you, is trying to do something. So if there's so much resistance for doing a 5-minute breath work, can you continue to be curious about your resistance? And then do the breath work. You might not get an answer from the resistance right away. I know my resistance is, this is dorky, this is dumb, it doesn't make me feel quote unquote wonderful anyway. What's the point? What's the point? There's so much other things I need to do. I need to reply to that email. A lot of times when I sit down to do my meditation, so many things will come to mind. Oh, Jade, you really need to reply to that text right now. No, we don't. We can reply to that text in 5 minutes. So can you ask yourself that question from a loving place? I think you can. Also, if you never did breath work or meditation or anything ever in your whole rest of your life, that is divine and perfect too. It's just an opportunity to see where we can go on this little earth journey. To face our pain bravely. To face our shadow and our shitty ass parts with love. To realize that we might be prone, if you are like me, to being a victim. Okay. We're going to do some breath work now. I invite you to lay down, or if you're walking or driving while listening to this, well, you can't do that. But we're going to do a breath work. We're going to inhale through our nose. And you're going to really extend your belly. Really extend it. I know, so especially as women, we tend to hold our bellies in. So I'm going to ask you to extend your belly. Extend your chest. And then you're going to open your mouth and stick out your tongue. Okay, you ready? Inhale. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue. Inhale. Fill your belly, fill your chest, stick out your tongue. Exhale. Soften your shoulders. Inhale. Stick out your tongue. Shake your hands. Inhale. Now you don't have to stick out your tongue, but just exhale, open mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Through your mouth. Inhale. Meet your body however your body's feeling. Exhale. Inhale. You're safe. Exhale. Invite all stuck energy out of your body. Inhale. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Out of my body. Shake your hands. Stomp your feet. Inhale. Exhale. Continue. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Inhale through your nose. Fill your belly. Commit. It's safe. Even if you feel like shit, it's safe. Keep breathing.
Hold on tight. I can smell the shore. It's right in front of us. If we just hold
Keep breathing.
on tight.
Invite all stuck energy out.
It's getting closer every
Keep going. Almost there.
We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky.
Keep breathing.
Sail with the wind.
Stick with it.
And when we're drowning in doubt, just
Keep going.
keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore.
Almost done. Keep going. Deep into your belly. Open your mouth. Exhale. Through your nose. Inhale. Open your mouth. Exhale. This is our last one. You're going to inhale and hold your breath. Hold. Hold your breath. I want you to hold your breath as long as you possibly can. Meet yourself. What do you feel as you hold your breath? Is there discomfort? Does your head hurt? Is your chest pounding? Do you feel tingly? Do you feel a little strange? It's safe to feel how you feel. And then when you exhale, we're going to exhale, and then through our nose, we're going to inhale slow. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw, and through our nose, we're going to exhale slow. Inhale through your nose. Soften your shoulders, soften your fingers, soften your toes. Exhale slow. Soften your shoulders, put your hands to your heart, to your face, and say to yourself, I'm safe. This body is safe. I am loved. This body is loved. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, precious body, as I continue to learn your language. And breathe naturally. Continue in your gratitude for your precious body. Even in your body's pain and hard moments. Even in the dark days. Thank you, precious body. It's safe to be in this moment as it is. What do I need? Is there opportunity to expand the voice of kindness within me? Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, my loves. I'm going to leave you here and ask you one favor if you're able. If you're not, that's okay. But could you like this podcast and share it with someone that you love? I'll be so grateful. And I'll see you next week. Bye.